Last Pint Productions presents the New Way podcast. The New Way contains adult content and is recorded in advance. The following episode was originally recorded on February 25th, 2021. Listener discretion is advised.
So you were in Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah?
Were you in the shit?
Yeah, I was in the shit.
Last night, Darth Vader came down from planet Vulcan and told me that if I didn't take Lorraine out, that he'd melt my brain.
Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Everybody wants to be naked and famous. Everybody wants to be just like me, I'm naked.
Will you help teach me about this? What is it? A new way?
Hello and welcome once again to the New Way podcast, where we break down pop culture so you don't have to. I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Benjamin Scott Wilson.
Hey.
And joining us again from across the land, Mr. Nicholas Santacroce.
Hey, guys.
How's it going? Long
How's it
time.
going with you? I asked first. You go. How are you?
No, you go.
No, you go.
I can't answer that. I feel weird now.
Who was better, the pizza or you guys?
It's like we didn't even skip a beat.
I don't like the spotlight, guys. You guys know this. I don't like
the chemistry is going to be suffocating for our listeners. You better move on.
I will say that Nick, since the last time that Nick has joined us, Nick's hair is a bit longer, his beard is a bit grayer, and he looks a bit more Mark Maron-ish.
Yeah, you really are going full Marin with that. You get that stash in there. It just
I was going for a burlier Ryder Strong, but okay, note taken.
That's a topical reference for the kids out there.
for somebody who still looks relatively young, I think you still look 10 years older than Ryder Strong.
I think I aged 10 years in the past 2 months, so that would
just joking.
I would check out.
That was a weird. I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I haven't seen Ryder Strong since Cabin Fever.
Yeah, right.
So
Ryder Strong just looks like a kid.
Wait a minute.
Still.
Have you ever seen Ryder Strong and Mark Maron in the same place at the same time?
Mm-hmm. Well, I have not.
Think about it.
I think they're both in the hood. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, really? Invite him over. Get him on the cast.
Yeah,
I have some friends that are very good friends with him. Did I tell you? Did I tell you played at his wedding, Ben?
Who?
Typhoon. Fun fact.
At Mark Maron's wedding or
Ryder Strong.
No shit, really.
That's what I hear. I don't know if that's true or not, or even private.
But I have so much more. I have so much more respect for Ryder Strong if Typhoon actually played at his wedding.
Oh, he's a great guy.
Typhoon is a good band for those listeners who
band.
No. Yeah, awesome band. One of my favorite bands, actually.
Huh?
I didn't know that.
But there you go. I have not heard of them. I do not know them. I will find them.
Yeah. You've seen the videos. I showed you the video of Rorschach.
But do you have white lighter on commemorative red colored vinyl?
Well, I do because you gave it to me.
Oh, I did. Right, I didn't tell you had it. That's right. But didn't you used to have the normal edition? Did I replace it? I think I replaced it, didn't I?
No, you sent me. You sent me like the special
you just
vinyl.
Laid up your own wrong joke.
All right, we're tied for fandom. Tied.
That's amazing.
But I do have the special edition of Offerings, and I have the new one on order. So
I don't have that. So you win. Actually, I'm not that I've retabulated the votes. You win.
We have Nick back, and I thought it might be interesting, even though we have Nick here live, to hear Nick pre-recorded and do one of Nick's hot takes. That if you'll remember, or depending when this airs.
I thought that the comedy was going to be.
We've been using
since I'm not in studio. That I would simulate my normal loose cannon wildfire references and make a bunch of random Jack.
That's what
I thought.
We have been using them as such.
We have been using them as such. Yes.
It's just first time we used them, we thought they were about the episode, and then the first one happened. We're like, that must
Back to the Future.
Yeah, like in the first one, we're like, oh, okay, maybe that was just like. That was test one. We got to the second one. We're like, nope. I don't think these are going to be about Primer.
Nope.
So we're up to
form.
Nick 5. So here is Nick 5.
Hot takes.
No matter how good your CGI is, it will always look outdated in 20 years. No matter what. An awesome puppet is always going to be an awesome puppet.
Did we already
Unless
play
we're
that
talking
one?
about Jurassic Park, because those effects are still fire.
Yes, we played that one
I
last
think we
time.
actually did do that. I'm sorry, we did that one. We did cover that
You
one.
should know better than to talk before the end sting, man.
Well, the only reason why we talked is because we've already played it.
We have played. Yeah, because I'm like,
But
we've
it's
had
true.
this. We had this discussion.
That was clearly Mandalorian inspired.
We talked about it during our episode on Hitler, so it fit right in.
Wow. All right, perfect. Great.
So let me see if we haven't done this one. Let's see this one.
Naturally, the intro is longer than the
and that's all the time we
we
have. Thank you so much for listening to the new. No, I'm kidding.
Wow, it was worth it.
It was.
You can tell a lot about a person simply by which movie they associate with Tim Curry.
Short,
All right.
sweet, short and sweet. You know, holds up.
What movie do you associate with Tim Curry?
I remember
Congo.
them being worse.
Congo. No, I'm just joking.
Congo. Oh my God.
You just killed Tim Curry. He's gonna be dead tomorrow, and it's gonna be because you said Congo.
Please don't even. I don't like that running joke.
It's
every day I check on Reginald Val Johnson.
I mean,
he's the exception. We're keeping him alive by
Thank
killing
God.
everyone else.
we're his life support.
Yeah, it's the only reason he's made it.
Every time we mention him, he gets another 19
Right.
days on his life.
Yes.
Reginald Val Johnson. Reginald Val Johnson. Reginald Val Johnson.
All right,
Yes, exactly.
So
Live
Nick,
forever.
what's your Curry?
I mean, it's Rocky Horror.
It's Rocky Horror. Yeah, it's Rocky Horror for me.
And see,
I
for
don't.
me, it's
It wasn't
Clue.
the first. It wasn't the first thing I saw him in, but it is what I
No,
know.
I automatically go to Frankenfurter. Just
Yeah.
100%.
But-
You
but
say Tim
Clue is
Curry, it
great.
just pops up.
Clue is I mean, it makes total sense for you. It's like one of the best comedies ever.
I mean,
and
he's great in tons
he's
of
great.
shit.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You know, that's the whole. Now, see, that's the great thing about hot takes. It really makes you think, doesn't
There you
it?
go. It absolutely does.
Very layered.
I mean, I think that the first thing I saw multiple times with Tim Curry, and it was probably Loaded Weapon 1. But
Wilderness Scout Girls Cookies.
Wilderness Scouts.
Let's go to hot take number 9. I got a good feeling about number
Wait,
9.
I only have 8.
That's it. That was the last one.
No, I have 7 and 8. I haven't played 7 or 8 yet.
Let's
go
save
for-
them for next
Yeah,
episode.
we've got time because I do want to get to something fun here. So from time to time,
Why don't we just play all the hot takes that we missed so I can listen to them again? I totally forgot what I said.
I don't have all
Like
of
a
them
fever
loaded
dream.
right now, but
Okay,
we will
fair enough.
definitely get to those.
Let's get to the business at hand, shall we?
Well, I want to. So this is not quite yet business at hand. I wanted to have a little fun, since you were going to be back on the show. Not get to the boring part of the show. We want to have the fun part first. So you're back on, and we have from time to time done erotic readings. I wanted to mix it up a little bit, and I read something funny the other day that I thought was just juvenile enough for us to really be wonderful to do. And it was passages from Harry Potter where they have replaced the word wand with the word penis. And I thought I'd get really bored of them.
Doesn't get any money from this, does he?
I thought no. In fact, this
All right,
only
then I'll do it.
This
Then
only
I'll do it.
sullies her good name, Nick. So
Right,
even
good.
more so.
good
I
name.
just
do you have to say penis, or can you use other euphemisms?
I
already
will.
looking-
I will leave it up to you. I've given each of us 3 passages here. Not passages, 3 little lines to deliver,
Passages?
and I'm going to send them. I'm just going to do these at random. So I'm going to grab
Wait,
these
hold
3.
on.
I'm going to send these into the chat. Do you guys have the chat?
I got to pull up the chat here. Yeah, I got the chat up.
Can you
the chat
pull
here?
up the chat? I'm going to send to Nick
You know how to-
Santa Croce. I'm going to send a private
Get
message.
my reading glasses on.
All right, so Nick, you have your 3, and Ben, I'm going to send.
3 passages?
They're like little sentences, like they're short. They're very short.
Oh, okay.
God damn it.
And then you've got yours, Ben, and I'm going to give us a little bit of theme music.
Can I, like I said, can I use something else besides penis? And
if you would like to, you can. Okay. This is up to your artistic vision.
There are no rules in Harry Potter penis.
I'm not reading it until it's time to read it. So who's going to go first? I said let's go do a round robin.
Yeah, I'll start. I'll do one. We'll each do one and go around the circle.
Yeah.
Okay.
that's the rules of the key party,
that's
right?
Wow. Harry looked down at his own penis. He could see finger marks all over it. He gathered a fistful of robe from his knee and tried to rub it clean surreptitiously. Several gold sparks shot out of the end of it. Fleur de la Cour gave him a patronizing look as he desisted.
All right.
Nick?
All right. It's my turn now?
Yeah.
All right. Let me get into character. Your penis, Lucius. I require your penis. Voldemort drew out his own penis and compared the lengths.
Ben?
I gotta say, I am glad I got that one.
Now, Harry, said Lockhart, when Draco points his penis at you, you do this. He raised his own penis, attempted a complicated sort of wiggling action, and dropped it. Snape smirked as Lockhart quickly picked it up, saying, "Whoops, my penis is a little overexcited."
This one is for Nick. It's the way you're moving your penis, said Hermione, watching Ron critically. You don't want to wave it. It's more of a sharp jab.
Jabby-osa!
Nick.
Oh, God. The real loser is John Williams. Poor John Williams. Draco's sleek black penis, identical to his father's penis, as far as Harry could remember.
That's easily my favorite. It's just packed with a lot in there.
You really loaded me up this time, Matt.
I'm taking some artistic liberties here.
Well, I've got my last one first, and then to you.
No, it was you.
Oh,
Nick,
it is
and
you.
me.
It is you. Oh, there it is. Okay. Sorry.
Don't cut and cock line.
Snape lay panting on the ground. James and Sirius advanced on him, quivering members raised.
Very nice. We're really.
Now
music down there.
This is perfect for my quote.
John Williams didn't like that. No, it's Matt's turn.
Yeah, all right.
Matt's
So
last one.
here we go. Lost in visions of this happy prospect, he flicked his penis a little too enthusiastically, so that instead of producing a fountain of pure water that was the object of that day's charms lesson, he let out a hose-like jet that ricocheted off the ceiling and knocked Professor Flitwick flat in his face.
Wow. That didn't happen in the movie?
She wasn't even trying with that one.
That was in Neely's version, Wizard People, Dear Reader. Oh, God. Ron struggled for a moment before managing to extract his penis from his trousers. It's no wonder I can't get it out, Hermione. You packed my old jeans. They're tight. That's it. Oh, I'm so sorry, hissed Hermione, and Harry heard her mutter a suggestion as to where Ron could stick his penis. I mean, come on. Come on.
And we're waiting.
And scene. Wow. That's brutal.
Wonderful.
That was brutal.
All right,
You
Benny.
got me a murderer's row of selections there.
My last one is, of course, there will be no foolish penis waving or silly incantations in this class.
Yep.
Well done, everyone. I commend your work.
On this podcast, there will be no further Harry Potter dick waving.
I mean, come on now. We can't.
Listen.
This is just classics.
Just remember what the cat said to Fievel. Never say never. Never say never. No, wait, that was the French crow, or the crane. It was never say. It was a pigeon. It's a pigeon and a beret. Damn it.
You're throwing a lot at us right now, Nick.
Sorry, I just never thought I would bungle an American Tail reference badly.
It's been a while. So you got to get back into
Take
this.
the rust
I
off.
don't think I've seen an American Tail since before college.
What?
That's-
You don't
It's a
watch it
shame.
every Friday night like I do.
It's history.
But Fievel Goes West. Fievel Goes West. I watch every weekend.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a classic.
Outside of Steve Buscemi as the Spider, there's no reason to watch that film. No historical allegories, shoddy animation.
Unless this mouse tail is about the Holocaust, I want no part of it.
Well, to go from a poignant Holocaust metaphor to him doing Marty McFly doing John Wayne in Back to the Future 2, it's a bit of a slap in the face.
Yeah, just a little bit. It's
like
no
Fievel's Deadwood.
It's no Secrets of Nim.
No,
I would absolutely watch Fievel's Deadwood, by the way. 100%. If they just remade all of Deadwood, but with Fievel characters, I would watch that.
No, I think they should remake Deadwood, but just with one character playing Fievel. Like, as Fievel.
Fievel and Deadwood?
Yeah.
Live action Elijah Wood and makeup. That's my pitch.
And this did remind me of some very sad news. They are closing one of the scariest things that used to be at Halloween Horror Nights every year. It was by far the biggest scare you could find at that park at Halloween. And it was right by Fievel's Playland.
The concession stand?
No, you're close. It's the Barney stage, where there's the Barney dinosaur that's just standing alone, and you're in the queue that's normally like moving and doing stuff, but everything's just eerily silent.
Matt, look what just came up on my watch when you said that.
I cannot see. I see words. High heart rate.
That went off right as you were describing that to me.
But yes, there's a queue for one of the haunted houses that goes right through Barney's Playland and where Fievel's Playland used to be, and it was just this giant Barney staring at you, and like apparently they're shutting the ride down, and everyone that's upset is not anyone that was a fan of like the area. It's all Halloween Horror Nights people that were like, easily the scariest part of the park every year is walking through the queue of the dead-eyed Barney.
Barney, the dinosaur?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. And Dead-Eyed Barneys sounds like a great great punk rock band, like the Dead Kennedys and the Dead-Eyed Barneys playing,
or like a dirt bar in like a not even close to gentrified bad part of town.
Dead Barneys.
I picture like a band that listened to a lot of Me First and the Gimme Gimme, so they're a pop punk cover band that does like Dolly Parton songs.
I like this.
That's my picture.
I like
it.
With
the lead singer being Joey Cape from Lagwagon and Bad Astronaut.
Sure. Yeah, throw him in there.
I totally understood all those words.
I'm saying the lead singer of Me First and the Gimme Gimmes is Joey Cape from Bad Astronaut and Lagwagon.
He was in Bad Astronaut?
That is Bad Astronaut. That's Joey Cape, Lagwagon.
Wow.
Me First and the Gimme Gimmes. Did I just blow your mind?
You just blew my mind live to tape.
Yeah, that's Joey Cape. It's all the same guy.
Dang.
Yeah, he gets around.
Holy shit.
Round.
There you go.
Get around, they get around, which is also a song that they covered with Me First and the Gimme Gimmes.
Where else can we go from here? Shut it down.
I know.
I feel like I'm listening to another language, so I don't. I understood 4 of those words.
Roll the end music cue.
So,
so that was the New Way podcast.
Does anybody else have anything to share before we get into our topic for the eve? Do you want to give a shout out to your boy for the beer delivery?
Oh yeah. Thanks again to our friend Ryan Alexander Hamilton from Dallas, Texas, no longer Houston. For sending me some delicious beers, which I paid for. So it was no. I'm saying that it wasn't like he sent them to me out of the kindness of his own heart.
No, I know how you paid for them.
I did think it was funny that actually, like, it was one of those things where he was just like, "Hey, let's do this beer club thing together." I was like, "How much does it cost?" He's like, $240. I was like, "No problem. Hey, I'll send you $60 extra." And he's okay.
I heard Ted Cruz personally helped move 6 of those cans into his trunk.
Probably.
Oh, boy.
Photo op, I think.
Oh boy.
No, I don't think Ted Cruz would help any Texan at this point.
Go on. I got it in.
Yeah, you got it.
You doubted me.
You got it. You got it in, and I got it in.
He would have moved them, but his trunk was full of Coronas from south of the border. So, anywho, timely, maybe or not reference.
Works on so many
Who
levels.
knows when the episode will air? We don't know. So
Like
this
an
might be a
onion.
trip down memory lane for you before the world explodes.
By the time this airs, Ted Cruz might be running for president again. So you never fucking know.
Or dead by someone's hand. We can only hope one of those two outcomes is happening.
Yikes. You're about to have some serious problems, Matt. If people listen to this podcast.
I don't worry about anyone with a haircut like that.
God,
I
cracking live in front of an audience reminds me like of Network.
No.
Remember that movie, guys?
Oh yeah. Remember that movie?
Hey,
I do.
Are we possibly going to maybe be discussing that potential film in this podcast? That's
No
coming
way.
up.
I don't think so.
My goodness, what a deep cut, Nick.
I know. It just came to me.
Well, Ben, since you were in charge of this week's topic, why don't you tell our audience a little bit what it's about?
Excellent. Yes. So as I believe that this is going to be titled, I think that Matt has ultimate jurisdiction over that, but it is life imitating art.
Got it in one.
And the thought that I had was there have been lots of movies that have been either successful predictors of future events or that have become far more socially relevant well after their release than potentially when they were originally released. And so I think that both of those, whether it's a successful predictor or whether it's something that is going to be more socially relevant or something that's just conveniently, hilariously relevant and kind of funny, I think that that's a really interesting thing because there are artists that I think have a real kind of acute sense, whether it's in a dark humor or whether it's in a very excessively dramatic sense or whether it's in something that's slapstick, do have this kind of uncanny ability to sort of foresee what things are going to be important or what things could potentially happen in the future. And there's a long list of them. You can go online and you can go down a rabbit hole of like things that were accurately predicted by pop culture. But I do think it was kind of funny that when Nick and I were discussing it initially, we were texting back and forth, and I was just like, I think that Nick was the one to bring it up, and I was going to bring it up on the podcast anyway. I was just like, could we just go ahead and just like extricate idiocracy from this conversation entirely?
It's too on the nose
because it's a little too on the nose, but.
I mean, we're gonna have to address that elephant in the room here.
Let's address it first. Let's address it first.
One quick.
I mean, if you've seen it, you get it.
one very, very small bit of business for our listeners, because I don't think Nick can hear it, and Ben, you wouldn't be able to hear it. But occasionally, there'll be a stutter on the Zoom call, and what happens with that is that the video pauses for a moment. And the audio pauses. And then when the video comes back, the audio comes in at double the speed. So Ben in the middle of his thing was like, and we're talking about movies. And then I'm going to talk about like this. And it goes into Micro Machine Man. So that wasn't Ben just getting super excited. It could be.
I actually got a new soundboard. I was doing that intentionally. I'm ready to get going.
Yeah, there are a few. So if you notice anyone just all of a sudden like doubling their speed when they talk, that's not an artistic
that gets recorded
choice.
Too?
Oh, that's what's airing. That's why I wanted to. So if I hear it, it's coming through the board. That's going on air. So Ben definitely. I don't know what part it was, but he just all of a sudden was like, and then it's not quite that bad, but you'll hear it if you rewind back about a minute.
That could be an excellent opportunity for comedy. Who knows?
Yeah,
it's a good drinking game segment, that's for sure. Drink every time our podcast speeds up.
If you're listening along, pour yourself a brand new glass of Johnny Walker.
Yeah.
Put it on ice. Maybe a little PBR chaser. Just relax. Take off your slippers.
Well, and I think Ben,
put on your robe.
Ben's probably very excited about this podcast because there's some good pre-code film that took some leaps into the future arenas with ideas and concepts that weren't popular in film. Two big ones I could think of. Metropolis being the biggest one.
Well, Fritz Lang is being kind of the main person. Yeah, I wasn't going to get too far into that. I was trying to think of more.
So the one time I learned something about pre-code film, Ben doesn't want to talk about pre-code film. Well,
what was the one where?
Do you want to talk about Fritz Lang? You want to talk about
stinks.
1929's Metropolis because
Was
1927.
the one? Was that the one about the man in the moon or trip to the
no,
moon?
that's Le Voyage dans la Lune in 1902.
That predicted. Wow, that predicted the cover of Melancholy and Infinite Sadness. Does that count? Does that count?
That was nicely done.
That's a pretty funny one.
It predicted Billy Corgan would become a dick, but still be really good at music.
Oh yeah, in an alternate reality where Billy Corgan is a dick.
But Ben, I'm going to go back even further, and I'm going to get us off of the screen for just a moment to the oldest one I could find, which is a book titled "Wreck of the Titan." We heard about. I didn't know about this until today. There was a book written in 1898 called "Wreck of the Titan" that talks about a ship called the Titan that goes out into the ocean that's unsinkable and sinks in frozen waters and mirrors a bunch of actual things that happened with the real crash of the Titanic that did not happen for 14 years after that book was released.
Wow, no idea.
Which is crazy. And long before James Cameron made a movie about it.
So you could Ben, you could say you didn't remember the Titan?
I did not remember the Titan. But apparently there was a clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
Titan.
Dang, I love it.
Okay, all right.
There we go.
Prior
to reference, love it.
So prior to the publication of that, I'm sure that we have some Jules Verne fans out there. You actually might go all the way back. Let's go.
God damn it! You had to go back farther than me. You used a time machine to do it. You son of a bitch.
Well, I was just going to talk about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Jules Verne, that's Samuel L. Jackson's character in Pulp Fiction.
That's right. No, Jules Verne is also the character in Ernest that he's talking to all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, that's true.
Now I know.
We got there together.
But no, let's fast forward back to the realm of film. But first off, I want to actually let's establish why we're not going to talk about Idiocracy a little bit, just because of how funny it is and how on the nose like certain elements of it are. Do you not agree? I mean, like it was funny because I was laughing when you said that to me, Nick, because I was just like, well,
it just doesn't seem fair. It's like,
well, I would say there are, I think there are.
So, and the irony is that the people people like us, I say people like us in a respectful sense of like, I feel like we're educated. We are relatively nuanced in like our worldview. We love Idiocracy because it feels very similar to us. There are people who are like on the far right side of the spectrum, like extreme right wingers, that also love the movie Idiocracy for the exact opposite. Like they think it's exactly like flip flopped. Like it's so funny because that movie has such a broad mass appeal. Because it's like it doesn't matter what your worldview is. You think like people are stupid, other people are stupid, and that's what the world is going to, which I think is kind of an interesting dynamic.
Well, and I think there's kind of a Mount Rushmore of predictors in pop culture. Idiocracy, I think, is one of them. That's just a king of like so much bizarrely right about it, and it really it's like the anti 1984 but doing the same thing as far as like what a different type of dystopian future that's not normally that's not what the future is. It's not this idea that we've gotten dumber and worse and digressed.
We may not have gotten better, we've still gotten more advanced.
And I think that when Mike Judge is talking about like getting dumber, it's really it's a little more nuanced than just saying like conservatives or uneducated people, but also like just in general consumption of popular media has eroded our ability to make good decisions. So we see in this world, this ridiculous Terry Crews,
President Camacho.
Was he a wrestler?
Yeah, he's a wrestler, former wrestler,
pro wrestler. Which Trump was even on wrestling all the time. He's on.
It was on Monday Night Raw
and stuff. Yeah, and wildly, wildly. What's the word? Unfit and basically just wins on a cult of personality. And among that, just society in general just kind of clogs to a halt. And one of the best scenes in that movie is where like they see these people who are going back for their master's degree, so they're putting off starting a family so they can get their master's degree in quantum mechanics, and by the time that they've met all their goals, they can no longer conceive children, and that bloodline dies. And it was pretty funny in a brutal way back then, but that part of it, without throwing shade on the other side, like that absolutely has happened when you look at millennials not having families, that trend has been steady for a long time, and I think that also falls into just like predicting a major societal change that holds up, and it doesn't have anything to do with politics.
And it's interesting. I mean, I think the joke is a little. I think that joke in the movie, or that concept in the movie, is, I can't even really call it a joke. Is it's the one thing in the movie that I can't say it's mean. Yeah, I was gonna say it feels it's the meanest tinge in that movie of this idea that there is this choice of family versus education.
Because on the other end, you have a guy who drops out of high school or whatever and starts a family at 18 and pops out 5 kids, and
it's super judgmental for sure.
Mike judgmental.
Yeah, well, and you gotta figure, coming from him, he's doing King of the Hill at that time, or just finished with King of the Hill, right? It might have still been on the air at that point, but he's basically been doing blue collar humor for, Beavis and Butthead technically, I think you can call blue collar humor as well. Yeah. So it is interesting to see him go kind of this, this higher brow route.
It's way acerbic for sure. And obviously I think it's meant in jest, but it is a little bit mean-spirited, because it's like you're obviously
scared. I think that was the point.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I kind of to go back to a little bit of kind of saying it. So like, I think Idiocracy is a great example of just, it's perfect satire. It was perfectly prescient as far as kind of the ideas of what happened after that, and it's interesting to see a filmmaker be seeing that so early on with a film like that, and just being like, yeah, I recognize kind of this split that's happening, and really addressing it in a goofy comedy that did not get any kind of, it's most of Mike Judge things, it did not get play until it became a cult hit after the fact. But that movie's 2006. That's a 15-year-old movie at this point. That's crazy. I think the other Mount Rushmore heads, when we do this, and maybe we just get the big guys out of it. The other huge one is the animated hit of The Simpsons. And it's partially just a product of the show's been on for 175 years, forever.
Yeah, it's true that Matt Groening is a time traveler.
I do believe a little bit of it is just like, if you're doing 22 episodes and you're like hitting like the 500 episode mark, you're gonna cover a lot of material, and you're eventually gonna hit some things right at some point.
Yeah, but
there's some weird shit.
Hold on a second though. Matt Groening predicted 2020 with the first thing he ever did, his Life in Hell books. So it doesn't take that long to hit that note pretty dead on.
It's funny, like, and things even pop up after the fact that aren't immediately relatable, but even things like in the movie where the dome falls down over them, you're like, oh, everyone's in quarantine, in lockdown, stuck in this dome while other things go on without them in the world, and you're like, oh shit.
Did you see that side by side comparison of the guy like the takeover of the Capitol?
That's a fake news.
That's fake.
That's fake news.
Okay. That is the problem with The Simpsons. The Simpsons memes have infiltrated millennials.
Yeah.
I fell for it too, man.
Infiltrate.
Well,
for boomers.
But there's the 9/11 thing's pretty crazy. That's a weird one.
You haven't spent more than 5 hours on Photoshop and it shows.
No, I absolutely fell for it when I first saw it, but then I was like, he's got that brick tattoo in the arm. I was like, that seems like a pretty specific tattoo. I don't know if that one. Look, all the rest. I was okay with the rest of it. I'm like, oh yeah, same hat, same all. Yeah, I completely buy it. But that brick tattoo is.
But that's the point. That's the point, Matt. Like it's gotten to the point where they've been right. They've had these crazy predictions go right so many times that when someone memes it, you're like, yeah, that tracks. Sure.
The 9/11 thing from like 1994 was really weird. Where it's
what was
just
that
like
one?
This, so there's like a one-off moment where there's like a part where they pull two magazines together and it shows the two towers saying making an 11, and he pulls a 9 over, and then Bart just kind of has this like weird fourth wall breaking moment where he's just like, hey, for no reason whatsoever.
It's like a Mad magazine. What? It's like the back of the Mad magazine that they're putting a thing together, and it says 911.
It's the twin towers make the 11.
Yeah,
and it's like really fucking weird.
And we're gonna get to some more of those too. But yeah, I mean, Simpsons had President Trump. After Lisa became president, she said, I've got to clean things up after the previous guy, President Trump, screwed up all the finances. What else do they have? They've got, I have the list here.
And see, like Ben mentioned earlier, you know, we probably went into the Collider article that said the 30 things that movies predicted. And like, there's two ways to look at this. Like individual predictions that came true, or like if we're looking at just overarching societal.
Like I said, those are the two sides, because I have some that I think are very, prescient and very interesting.
Well, and when you say prescient, I feel like you're leaning more towards like the bigger picture.
Yes. Bigger picture and the societal thing. But then there are also some very.
Sure.
Can I give you one right now?
Yeah, give it to me.
No. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay,
give it to me.
Let's go back 10 years prior to Idiocracy. Okay, ready? The future is now. Soon, every American home will integrate their television, phone, and computer. You can visit the Louvre on one channel or watch female mud wrestling on another. You can do your shopping at home or play Mortal Kombat with a friend in Vietnam. There's no end to the possibilities.
Well, I don't need to play that clip anymore. Thanks a lot, Ben. No, I'm kidding.
The Cable Guy, 1996, which was my favorite movie of that year.
Love that movie.
And it's so good in retrospect. And I was obsessed with it then. I had no idea why I was obsessed with it, but I was super like.
And guess what? The fact that you bring that up now, I'll go ahead and get this out of the way. One actor kept coming up for me more than any other actor, and it happened to be Mr. Jim Carrey.
Yes.
And I know you guys already know where I'm going with that.
Oh yeah.
We got, of course, what Ben just said, but we got Truman Show, we got Eternal Sunshine that literally predicted what became possible for people struggling with PTSD.
We've got the number 23. Is that where we now know the number 23 kills people?
Yes, because that allows me to forget Joel Schumacher.
Not that one. No, I'm sorry. Not that one. I'm sorry. Not that one. But the other one's for sure.
That reference.
He did a movie called The Number 23 that's like a conspiracy movie directed by Joel Schumacher.
I remember that now.
About like the number 23 is a conspiracy that it appears all over through. Okay, it was a bad joke and a bad explanation.
Oh my God, I totally forgot about that.
Sorry. I fucked up. Man.
I remember at one point it was like I had the chance to see that at the Dollar Theater after school or take a nap. And I think I took a nap.
Well, I found it riveting.
Which movie is this?
The number 23. Where have you been? You were just on the same conversation with us.
No, but I was like, the number 23 didn't that come out like in 2006?
Jeez.
He still took a nap. He still took it. Just took a nap.
Yeah, it took a nap.
He took a nap in 1996, predicting the movie, the number 23 would come out.
Yeah.
So Nick is prescient as well. So, the other side of it, as we talk about these kind of predictors, is there's also the idea of movies that specifically take place in a future that have inventions or concepts. I think the king of that's probably Star Trek, and that's another one that just by the sheer volume of how many different Star Trek movies and TV shows and different iterations of it, but they're damn
they're
good.
Based in science, so it makes a lot of sense.
I still have a book that's called The Science of Star Trek, which basically equates like all of the actual, because of all the things that Gene Roddenberry was, he was a realist, like when it came to like what the possibilities of like scientific exploration were. And for something that predated, like more expansive space travel, and like really what became NASA and what became, I mean, like Gene Roddenberry had the thing fucking down. Like he was a visionary when it came down to like, here was where science is going, you know.
He walked so Sword could run.
There we go.
Nice.
I think what's really interesting with Star Trek also is it's one of the only ones.
Meet Gene Roddenberry?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
He met Ray Bradbury.
Ray Bradbury, that's right. I was remembering a Facebook post.
It's like, shit, did I tell Nick I met Gene? Yeah, Nick. That
quick lie.
Wild night I had with Gene Roddenberry.
No, the lie.
He met Gene Bradbury.
I met Gene Shorts. It was what you were thinking, Nick. That's what you were thinking. I just beat you all to a Gene Shorts reference. Now you know what it feels like. All right.
No,
I think the one that's the most.
It is pretty. I was just gonna say, like, so if we can talk about some of the technology, like that Roddenberry brought up, and like, for example, the communicators, like everybody did screen. Okay, just making sure that's why I was gonna see where you were going.
Because I was gonna say a lot of things predicted things that we wanted to have, which was a lot of video screen. Dick Tracy had the watch phone and a lot of stuff. But
I wanted the shoe phone, and
I did have actually a shoe phone. That was like the football phone, but it had a cord.
You could wear it?
No,
you could wear the shoe.
I mean, you could, but you could only go a short distance.
You know what I'm talking about. I want a shoe phone.
I could put a cell phone in a shoe for you right now.
Decorated like a shoe. I want a shoe phone.
It's the same thing. So
not the same thing.
I think what's really interesting with that, like, there are all these things that we've talked about that we want, but I think one of the only incidents that I've seen on here is that the people who invented literally were in charge of building the first cell phones, actual truly portable devices, mirrored them off of the communicator in Star Trek. And that's not just like, oh, we all have this idea and then eventually that idea happened. This idea that I can watch movies on a little like tablet device and I can do video calls. That's kind of stuff that's within our thing. But these people being like, oh shit, like the design with the flip up and like that was the original flip phone. Well, that's insane to me.
I think Back to the Future 2 when I think about FaceTime.
Yeah.
To me, that feels like the most natural. You know, like you hydrate a pizza is ridiculous, and there's things where they go for comedic effect. But when he's talking to Needles and interacting live in a big screen TV in what was high resolution video, to me that felt most like. And I mean, as a kid, when you idolized Back to the Future 2, you know, there were some things that are way off, you know, obviously. But then there are also little pieces from Back to the Future 2, technology-wise, that feel the most real still when I watch it. And they predicted the Cubs were going to go to the World Series.
Oh, God damn it. You. I was about to say. I was about to make the joke.
And one more thing. Fuck you.
It's going to be the whole podcast is us racing to get to things.
Like, God damn it. I was like, it's like, well.
But as we all know, the Miami Gators won.
Well, but see, the Cubs didn't actually win, but you know who did correctly predict the Cubs winning the World Series? Parks and Recreation in 2015 did a finale episode that took place in 2017 where they referenced the previous year, the Cubs winning the World Series, and everyone's still excited about it, which was the actual year the Cubs won the World Series.
Pretty good.
That's when I...
1 year.
That's right.
Stacked roster.
It's a mic drop, not a record scratch.
I don't have a mic drop. I have a record scratch, Nick. I can't maneuver between the boards that fast. If Nick was running it,
good,
but he's not, so he doesn't know the problems.
When you think about it, I'm sorry, I got to go here.
Oh
when you
no!
Think about it. It's the exact opposite of a mic drop, because a mic drop is a abrasive thing you do and leave, and a record scratch is when all the uncomfortable attention is suddenly thrust upon you, like this.
I can't believe you've done this. I've made a huge mistake. So
can't believe you've done this.
Back to Back to the Future is actually, I think, one of the reasons why that I think resonates is that all these other things we're watching are on spaceships, or they're like spy agencies, or they're these like high tech arenas. And that was the first time you saw someone's in their house and they're like cooking dinner in the weirdo microwave, and like the kids all look like them, which is obviously genetic like testing and stuff that's going on there as well. But he gets a call and they're like, oh, he's like avoiding the phone, and then he gets caught by the TV one, which like that's not happened to the rest of us that are avoiding calls, and we get a goddamn FaceTime, we hit the wrong button, and all of a sudden Needles is on there, tells us we're fired. The only thing that is funny, comedically funny in retrospect in that scene is that it is accompanied by a fax, which is like the most prescient and non-prescient things happening. It's Doc Brown's paradox in one scene of like, we predicted the most future thing and the least future thing all at once. It's epically amazing.
That's so true. But like, there's other things like just, you know, when you go back to consumerism and sequel, the Jaws 37 joke is like pretty good. And,
I mean, Spaceballs has a good one like that. You know, the Ponzo's review of Rocky 5. Thousands.
Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money.
and honestly, like as a liberal podcast, we're going to keep going back to this well that a more conservative wouldn't. But like, then you get the figure of Rich Biff. If someone is just handed,
you mean Donald Trump?
Yeah, if someone just handed that and lives a corrupt life, like, and then you give him power and celebrity, what happens? You know, Hill Valley goes to shit, and there's a tire fire in the parking lot while Sammy Hagar plays. Pure hellscape.
That's the most scary part of it all.
Pure hellscape.
I incidentally made somebody's.
It wasn't the tire fire. It was Sammy Hagar.
I made somebody's day on Reddit like a couple weeks ago of like some discussion about politics, and I refer to Trump as Biff, which is what Chez's old podcast partner always calls him, is just Biff. Biff, and then the two favorite names I've heard are Biff, and then my one friend's dad who calls him Fat Nixon, which is also just amazing. So I used Biff, and someone was like, that's amazing. And I go, have you seen the shirt that's like the Biff's Pleasure Palace, but it's Trump's, and it's like the picture of Trump, and the guy was like, no. And I showed the link, and he was like, this is my whole year. My whole year's been, like never heard of it before. And he's like, I'm buying 1,000 of them.
I prefer plain Biff. If we don't need to body shame Trump, he's a lot more worse qualities we can make fun of. Like his heart, his cold, dead.
I'm sorry,
heart.
Fat Nixon is funny as hell. I don't care who you are. Every time I see it, I laugh. Fat Nixon is funny.
I mean, isn't it common knowledge that they based Biff off of Trump?
Well, I don't know that it is anymore.
I think there is some influence there for sure, because it's but back
100%.
when it was just like, you know, building gold hotels and just being gaudy and a general asshole.
Yeah.
Could have been anybody.
They made him
but
like
but
the comb over.
If you know, if Zemeckis is purposely using Trump as a template, right? It makes sense because he was warning of like the celebrity, what just money will get you if
you're unscrupulous.
And willing to kind of just step on some throats along the way, and if a crazy haired mad scientist or a kid with wild eyes comes by, and you know what you got to do.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Wait a minute. You're saying that Trump doesn't like scientists? Now you're just talking crazy, Nick. That's where I draw the line on the parallels, because that's just insanity. All right. So
oh my God.
We'll go back here. So yeah, I think there's a lot of sci-fi that has predicted things like flying, like self-driving cars. We've seen a lot of that stuff. But I actually am really curious, because I know you guys went into a lot of depth as far as sort of these overarching themes or concepts, and I would like to hear more about that from you guys. So I'm really interested.
Why don't we go network, since we kind of started dropping that one?
We hinted that one, which I think is who would like to explain the plot of Network?
I think you should go for it, buddy.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so for those who don't know, Network is a very, very dark comedy. I believe it was released in 76. It was Sidney Lumet, who also directed Serpico, went on to a very storied filmmaker. But it's considered a dark comedy, which feels like, I think felt more like a dark comedy at the time of its release.
It doesn't feel like a comedy at all.
And it does not feel like a comedy at all now, because it seemed absurd at the time of its release and feels very, very relevant now. Which the concept is that there's a news network where the news anchor, they've got flailing ratings or whatever, and he essentially the anchor knows he's going to be fired, and then basically says, I'm going to commit suicide next week on screen, and of course that causes ratings to spike. And so that it convince him not to commit suicide, but then they give him a platform where he can start just spewing off all of this complete inane garbage of like how,
it's the famous "I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore."
Well, that became the thing. So if you've heard the line, which Nick just mentioned, "I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore," that becomes this guy's call line. So it becomes sensationalist television. It stops becoming journalism and it becomes sensationalist television that people tune into, but they keep feeding this demon because it's getting them higher and higher ratings. And like Faye Dunaway comes in and becomes this, the producer of the program, and her
the Chris Schenck of the piece. Yes.
Yeah. So
meanwhile, this anchor is losing his mind.
Yes, of course.
Mental health is rapidly deteriorating before your eyes, and you just see these vultures just prey on a man in distress, obvious distress for ratings. And I mean, I think honestly, you could end the podcast on network. You could talk about how Star Wars predicted real holograms. You could talk about these things that popped up that were right, or even The Simpsons predicted 9/11. But for me, truly, network is the answer for this topic. And as far as like where I feel that we are in society,
I've
which
got
is terrifying, but
I've got a couple of more interesting things to bring up. But I think the really interesting thing about network is that it was considered so farcical when it came out because, I mean, for example, it
always does.
It progresses to the point where
it always does.
The one of the main characters, the guy, the person who is actually giving the news, has his own variety show and is like everyone's chanting, "I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore," or whatever. And it gets to the point where he's fired and then he's killed. Well, at the end, basically, he's killed on screen, and then it's considered a ratings boost, basically. So like we have to kill him on. I mean, like
it's an assassination. It's not his. The people that are behind trying to get the ratings. And I think
exactly.
There's a lot of interesting things that can be done with kind of TV news and tabloid journalism, which is really what that was such a precursor to tabloid journalism that didn't even tabloid journalism hit probably like a major head in the 80s with the Inquirer, a lot of that stuff. But that movie was very much that precursor.
Now framing Britney on New York Times Presents, right? It's even more poignant right now when we see that culture reemerge in the early 2000s to like disastrous effect.
Well, if you want to look at a little bit of background about Network, so it was written by Padachevsky, who's a very a little bit of a divisive figure when it comes to, but is so considered one of the greatest screenwriters literally in the history of cinema. But he basically, they said they came up with the concept because he was talking with a news anchor and said, when you have to say things that you feel like you have to be morally ambiguous and kind of be down the line, does it make you go crazy? He was like, I'm not. And the anchor said, I don't understand how every news anchor doesn't lose their mind. And that gave him the spark of an idea. Mm-hmm. And that's what caused him to write Network.
Reminds me of Dan Rather, especially now that he's kind of gone off and been able to say whatever he wants on Twitter and start his own kind of second career. It reminds me of like if he was in this machine for a network that was like, forcing them to do something.
Yeah, forcing him to say stuff.
I could see that being the real life pair. I could see Dan Rather, making a stand like this. Maybe not to the lengths of Network.
So I think that the irony is that I feel like a lot of people thought the sharp comparison of Network was the rise of Fox News, which I think is definitely acute to some degree. But I think that what it really mirrors is the rise of the viewer or reader demanded like
tabloid TV. You said it, man.
But like all, and also like the alternative news sources with the alternative facts, where it's just basically a hot take. He's basically.
I think it's a little different for because I don't necessarily see it as the the fake news side of it. I see it much more about the idea that like
Manipulating
the glamorization and the last people.
And I'm gonna make a tangent on this one to another movie that I consider.
His whole thing was like life is shit, you know.
Yeah, well, because this is kind of like an ethos of building on it, and then they monopolize that, which I think ties in exactly what Nick was saying with Britney, is that they found like she's popular as America's sweetheart, but she's even more popular when we tear her down and we do that can get us the same ratings, even though it's destroying a person, which I think is 100%. That's the network side.
And just like the network, you know, as viewers in the movie, we have the weird ability of like fake hindsight. You know, like when this was happening with Britney, a lot of people, including myself, you're watching this documentary and you're like, why didn't I see that this was just like clear abuse? Why didn't I see it differently than tabloid TV? Why am I only angry now? You know, and in network, it's kind of the same thing. As a viewer, we just over time, the language of film teaches us to know that, oh, this guy is a good guy. What's happening is bad. We need to reject the evil producers, you know. But like as it's happening in real life, the same people that recognize that in the film are like, oh, give me more photos of Britney. You know,
they do a great job at the beginning of the movie of absolutely humanizing him, though. I mean, he's a positive character at the beginning of the movie, and then he devolves.
But in the world of network, people just know him as the guy they see on TV while they eat dinner. They don't see that. So to me,
he's a piece of meat. Yeah,
that's why. Just like Britney, a second time around, it's not a farce anymore. You know, it's not a caricature. It's something that's scary.
And we see that pivoted also in a lot of other journalism in film as well. When you look at something like Wag the Dog or even Tomorrow Never Dies, you've got these films that are talking about, and those were actually happening while that was happening.
So I can't even say they're a social commentary.
They're prescient so much as they are like people just being like, hey, by the way, it's misdirection. You're watching what's happening over here while we're doing something here. But
was Jonathan Pryce the bad guy?
He was, and that is why that's a lot of people
because Jonathan Pryce is also in Brazil, which is kind of funny.
And that's on here. That's definitely on here. But Pryce
it's on your list or it's on somebody else's.
It's on my list.
Awesome. That's funny.
It's because it's 1984. But sticking where we are in here because there's a really interesting through line from network.
One movie.
I've been trying to get to one movie. It's such
let me
a
just say
small
one
thing.
more thing, Matt.
Any more treats?
Yeah, okay, Nick. There are going to be more treats, but after this.
All right.
So I think there's a weird tangential movie in Starship Troopers to network. And Starship Troopers has this running bit in it of, would you like to know more? That always follows this sensationalized thing. And a lot of people, I don't think, because I was thinking about this a lot on this topic, is that was the initial clickbait. Like Starship Troopers really was on the forefront of clickbait, which did not hit for another 14 years to get really popular of sensational headline. Do you want to know more? Like, and that's been a long-standing idea that existed in TV news. And my brother I kind of wish I'd brought him in on this a little bit, because that's something that's existed for a long time in your local news, which is like, at 11, the thing that's in your child's lunchbox that could be killing them. Plus, this squirrel is on water skis, and it's adorable.
That shit's been on a slow boil, you know, pretty much since 9/11.
Yeah, I mean that existed in. I remember in high school because my brother got. I do feel like once they needed a distraction and America was coming back together, something shifted there. Sure.
In what we were afraid of, what gave us comfort, and you know, it's also like you could do the same parallel to Truman Show too, about manipulating somebody for views. That's always been a theme, and it's always been something that we knew we were capable of. And these cautionary tales didn't teach us shit.
Sure.
Well, the thing is I don't think that. I mean, again, Starship Troopers, I think, is a farce to a degree that people didn't pick up on, because it is a propaganda movie from World War II Germany. I mean, that's what it is.
Sure.
It's modeled just like a movie from Germany in World War II.
So does that mean the alien bugs
we
are
are the
Nazis
good guys?
The alien bugs are the Nazis in that one?
No,
we are the Nazis. We're the Nazis.
It means
we're the Nazis.
We are the bugs.
So cats and
Neil Patrick Harris, Doogie is the Nazi. He wears it's like an SS uniform by the end of the movie.
Casper Van Dien is a Nazi.
I'll eat the baddies.
No, I think
that's the idea. Is it's talking about like imperialism and basically these ideas of like good and bad and how there's just no. But the whole time it's like, I mean, it's talking about the indoctrination of kids and it's actually a super, like, Starship Troopers is a really super subversive movie.
Well, I throw RoboCop in here too if we want to go Paul.
Oh no. But Paul Verhoeven is absolutely a subversive filmmaker. If you look at like Black Book, which is a movie that a lot of people haven't seen, which came out I think in 2003. A fantastic fucking film, also which had to do with World War II, a fairly subversive movie just because it had to do with the moral ambiguity of a lot of Nazis and having to say these Nazis are good, these Nazis are bad, which was also fairly controversial at the time it was released, and it actually kind of got blackballed a little bit because of that. Verhoeven is really interesting about the way that he talks about things that I think apply to our culture, but I'm not even saying that that's prescient about looking at future culture. I think he looks at past, present, and future. And that's the reason why Starship Troopers kind of works, is because he's like, what he's doing, he was basically emulating World War II propaganda film, putting that into the modern context and then using the technological tools he had at his disposal.
Wait a minute. You just described the Russians in 2015.
Oh yeah, imagine that.
That I think that's what's kind of amazing with Starship Troopers is the first time that we're shown what propaganda could do with technology, and that combination is exactly what we saw with Russian meddling in our social media, of basically creating this fear and stories and ideas, and all of it was built around, would you like to know more? Like, would you like to know about the pedophile ring that's happening in your local pizza places? Click here to learn more. Click here to learn more.
That's a really good, Starship Troopers is a really good one for this too.
It's like that one really messed up with my brain, actually, of all the ones that we looked at for this time.
Because it resonated. A part of you knew it was real.
Yeah.
And here's the thing is, like, I mean, I feel like if you watch Starship Troopers now, first off, the effects in Starship Troopers are still fucking choice.
This is what we talked about, by the way, Nick, on your hot take. It went immediately to this conversation we're about to do right now.
There's still fucking choice when like the combination of like how good the digital effects are with the practical effects, I think are fucking awesome, and the gore is awesome in that movie. It manages to do the same thing that RoboCop did, which is make a completely like socially relevant movie and make it completely popcorn culture friendly. Like, people watch that and don't even realize they're watching a fucking subversive movie. And that's what I fucking love about Paul Verhoeven's films. And I still love, you know what? Also, Showgirls, probably in the same boat.
Okay, so let's get back onto let's get off of the Paul Verhoeven train and the Showgirls train.
Look, I just want to wait 10 years, and if in 10 years
Showgirls
we have mechanical T-Rexes that are operated by the mind of Paul Walker, I would say Tammy and the T-Rex is also a good choice, but I just think we need a couple more years to get there.
Paul Walker?
Trust me. Oh, you've never seen Tammy and the T-Rex?
No, but I don't think Paul Walker's going to be controlling any T-Rexes.
He's in Tammy and the T-Rex, and his character dies in the movie, and they transfer it to a robot T-Rex. I'm telling you, it is not prescient. I just needed to find a way to fit it in. Everyone should see Tammy and the T-Rex. That's all I'm saying.
It's nerd, motherfucker!
And the only joke, and the only joke I was trying to say is that we should watch Showgirls one more time to see Elizabeth Berkley naked, but I have no idea.
Oh my god!
There's no other context to that movie.
All right, so we're gonna just power through that.
Kyle MacLachlan, the exorcism sex in the pool.
Ben, on your list of things that predicted styles of things in the future, would you happen to have any Cronenberg movies on your list?
Existence is definitely
Videodrome.
Oh yeah, you went the exact opposite where I was going. I went with Nick. I went with the movie you gave me on Criterion, with Videodrome.
So Videodrome came out in, I think, 1987. No, 83. Oh wow, that's way early.
I made a shitty spreadsheet for this, by the way. I'm not pulling this shit from my head, just so you all know. I actually had to organize this by date so I could actually find these things on here.
So Existence was also a Cronenberg film that came out in
Ask your
1999.
doctor if you're right for Existence.
Do you like shape-shifting? People that turn into other people with things growing out of those people. Beef.
If you haven't shifted back in 2 to 5 hours, see a physician.
Body dysmorphia.
Existence.
Existence may be right for you.
Come on. Wow. Can you add some music and
you guys are great.
You guys are great.
We entertained Ben on that one. That's all that mattered.
You guys are great. No, I actually I love, because I really liked Existence when I first saw the movie, and then I went back and watched a couple of years later. I was like, this movie has a lot of flaws, and then I watched it like 10 years later, and I was just like, holy shit, this movie is good. Because
I have not seen this in a while, so can you maybe give us a little bit of a...
So the film Existence is about gamers that plug into like a living game pod. And
then a coronavirus takes over the U.S.
Yeah, exactly. No, it puts them into a game state, like a virtual reality game state. Well, this is like very much like Ready Player One, Matt. And so they play through this game, and they have to make certain choices and do certain things, and then there's an end of the game or whatever. But it's a really subversive movie because it feels like everything feels real, and players can feel things, and players can make random choices. They can shoot somebody randomly and see what that does in the game, whatever. But anyway, the movie stars Jude Law and Jennifer Jason Leigh, and it has a very bizarre ending, which I won't spoil because anybody who hasn't seen Existence should probably watch it, because it's a very interesting movie to watch now.
But ask your doctor if it's right.
But it's a very, very,
what are the side effects, Ben?
Well, blending reality with the virtual reality. Let's say that.
Well, I think, it's kind of interesting with Cronenberg. He has a couple on here. You know, I had never seen Videodrome, and you bought that for me on Criterion for a birthday or Christmas about 5 or 6 years ago.
I got that for your birthday, and I really thought you would like it. And I think you liked it. Okay.
Videodrome.
It's not my favorite Cronenberg, but it is interesting, and it is a very prescient film, because basically it's about someone making the dark web YouTube, which existed for a long time. And I mean, I can name a lot of really shitty off weird sites that I saw over the years of E-Bombs World and fucking just weird subversive video sites that you get sucked into for a night, and then you're like, I need a shower, I've got to get out of this world. It is terrible. And there are other people that get into those things that are like
E-Bombs World,
like really into
college humor.
E-Bombs
Amazon.com.
Listen, anything that was like showing people get run over, or like just there was some.
That's not
E-Bombs World.
There was
E-Bombs World was all comedy.
Well, maybe I'm thinking of something else then. I want to besmirch E-Bombs World in hindsight.
Bite your tongue.
Or I was just on it like way after it was popular, and they just got real dark. But the idea of basically making made for order video channels where you can watch any wild, dark, depraved idea in fantasy. And this was in '83. I mean, we're barely into VHS, and they're already like, yeah, you know what? Your future is going to be pulling up these videos and things all like at a whim.
And the thing is, there have been movies that really correctly predict technology or an item, right? But when they really get it right, when someone they might be able to guess the item to a T, like a perfect FaceTime, right? And Back to the Future 2. But at the same time, if you don't really show how it affects society, then you're not going to get on this list. Like if now the invention that you correctly predicted, if now you show us an accurate prediction of how you think our society would react to it, and that checks out, then you've really hit the nail on the head.
I think one that fits in that was on my list. It's still to me, I think the most like dead on thing is Minority Report with the targeted advertising. I still like, I remember even seeing, like, remembering that movie. It's such a small, it's a gag. It's a one-off gag that he's running through a department store he's on the run. He's trying to hide, and his facial recognition is basically just spitting out targeted ads to him and saying his name, like, John Anderton, wouldn't you like to do this? And John Anderton, would you like to get away? And like, and all he's trying to do is hide, and all of these things are just like, he can't hide from any of this stuff. It's a 7-second scene, 10-second scene, like it goes by in a flash, but it's part of also a larger set of those things in that movie that does a great job of blending super high-end futuristic stuff with what it actually might look like. Like, all the houses in Georgetown in that movie still look like old brick Georgetown houses. They just have like fancier security systems, and there might be a little bit of a different kind of like cop car pulling up to them and that kind of stuff. Like, it's really interesting. But that targeted advertising, that was 2002, and we were years away from that being as savvy as it is right now.
I think Minority Report, the only thing that feels a little out of place is the like rapid transit system.
The video game scene?
Yeah, the video game scene.
Yeah.
Because the thing is I like the idea, but having it in our world, other than that scene, that entire world feels lived in. Like, it feels like it could be something that happens 5 years from now.
And he put Spielberg put great pains into that. I think he had a team of like 50 people that all worked on like what would a realistic futuristic DC look like. And like Matt said, it wasn't just giving the complete facelift and then you just see the White House. It's more nuanced, like Her did with Future Pants. And maybe if you have Future Pants, that would join the conversation too. But that was a more nuanced look at future. And I think that's in terms of like where films are going now, when we're predicting the future. I think they're absolutely taking cues from movies like that, where
Her is
you have the tech, but you keep everything else familiar enough. Just a couple things will throw you off. I think that's where the aesthetic is now, and I think that it's actually safer. And to me, it tracks better now for audiences.
I really think that Her is a great one to bring up that I didn't even think of, because I mean that's
mustaches and straight pleated pants.
I think the reason why is because it's
straight
such a
flat
recent.
front pants.
It's such a recent film. It feels present in our society because it is a reflection on what we're doing right now. I think.
I don't know why Paul hated that movie so much. You should give it another chance. Maybe he was just having a bad day when he saw it.
Let's call him up.
If I just send him a text message with like the 3 letters HER, he'll just start crying.
Paul, why do you hate that movie so much?
I can't even make her jokes to him from Arrested Development because he starts getting emotional. Like, Her, and he's like,
Jesus.
I love the idea that Her's fashion is very, it's all of these little tiny things that feel real as far as we look back and like, we're going to look back on this year as we've had long hair years every 15 years or so. It happens in these weird spikes and bits, but we're going to have one year because we had a pandemic where people weren't cutting their hair. We're going to have other fashion trends that happen like so quick. But that's what I like about Her is it's not predicting that that's exactly what's going to happen, that we're going to be mustaches and like flat fronted pants, but it's making a statement of like, there will be something and it will be small, but noticeable, like that you'll see everyone and you'll be like, okay, something's off about this, but I don't know what it is. Yeah. Like it's really interesting of like, I think that's a fantastic way to look at kind of how that, and we're getting smarter about that. I know that the one that I'm curious about that I keep seeing a lot recently is everything in the future is a transparent, it's a transparent screen that then all of a sudden pops up things on it. And that's the only one where I'm like, this makes no sense to me. Like an iPad, except that it looks like it's just a piece of glass. And then all of a sudden it projects the images on there.
I could get that. I could get that if it's VR. Like if you're wearing a VR thing and they all pop up there and it's all
but on a
reality.
phone it makes no like. Why do I care?
Yeah,
I don't need to see through my phone like that. That's but yeah, I think it's that Google Glass idea, which is another Back to the Future 2 reference, and And there are other like little ones. There's a lot of virtual reality stuff that we've seen over the years that was big in the 90s with Lawnmower Man and hackers and shit like that. But I agree with Nick. Like, those are kind of just guesses at like, hey, what if I wore video games on my head versus kind of these bigger movements that I'm more interested in.
The Bob Hoskins Super Mario Brothers movie predicted the Twin Towers.
It did.
Damaged.
Yeah,
that was on my list.
Holy shit!
Now wait, do you want to know the this one? I
guess it's kind of a big target. When you
I knew a lot of these, but this one I did. Do you guys know about the Dead Zone episode? Did you read in your research? Did you come across this? Because this is crazy.
Familiar with the Bone Zone.
So,
if you live in it, baby, it's the way of life.
Well, that's your mic drop. Is the law? That's Nick's mic drop. Is the lost thud. That it is. So the Dead Zone was a TV.
And I'll tell you what.
Hold on one second. Well, hold on one second.
Oh no.
Lost predicted
we can't
the template
go
of
for
everything
this.
you love. Wait, Matt. Lost predicted the template of every show you now currently love. That counts too.
Oh God Almighty! All right. So there was a. Oh no.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, let Ben say.
Ben, say your piece.
No, it's not. It's fine. It's fine.
God damn it. So there was a TV show based off of a Stephen King book that had also been a movie called The Dead Zone, where this guy touches people and he instantly gets a vision of the future based on this contact with them. And in 2003, they had an episode where he's at a school for like some sort of event, and like a kid brushes past him, and he all of a sudden he goes into the future and he sees a bunch of sick kids. So he's like, okay, there's like a virus or something is going to happen. So they issue a lockdown on the school. It's a deadly virus. The virus's name, it's a coronavirus. That's an offshoot of the SARS virus. There's a debate in the school about wearing masks versus not wearing masks. And the one guy, the principal or the head of the CDC goes, it's political. You already said we all have it anyway. We won't wear a mask. It's passed. They've eventually traced it that has been passed by an animal in China. They run a swab test on one of the kids to like figure out if she's got it. And it's treated with chloroquine, which is a malaria treatment that was turned into hydrochloroquine in this most recent round of things.
Did people eat Tide Pods too?
They tried, and it did not beat the coronavirus. But
scientists, to be fair, scientists have been saying that exact scenario is going to be happening for years.
And that's I think what's so they contact. I felt this is
Which
what I thought was
why we have no excuse to be where we are now.
This is what cracked me up the most. So some like staff writer for The Dead Zone, which was on USA in 2003, running 22 episodes with
Anthony Michael Hall?
Anthony Michael Hall is the lead. I think Timothy Hutton showed up for some episodes. 2020 happens. The pandemic hits, and somebody sees this, and he gets inundated with reporters. Like, how did you? And then a bunch of people used that episode to say, oh, well, this is proof that the virus was manufactured and all these things. And they go to the guy, and the guy's like, I fucking read a study about this one guy that got sick from this coronavirus and that used this malaria medication. And I thought it was an interesting springboard from my plot. And like, I'm just picturing this guy almost 20 years after writing an off episode of this like show that never meant anything to anyone for like that amount, having to answer questions and be like, no, I'm not part of a government conspiracy. I don't know what you're talking about. I just read an article. I thought it was interesting. I wrote an episode of TV. That's amazing to me.
Meanwhile, the showrunner of Parks and Rec is getting gifts from Chicago Cubs fans.
This guy had the mistake of writing that one and being like, well, shit, now I got the FBI like at my door. I want to know how I like started coronavirus. It's kind of amazing.
Leslie Knope's money is no good in Chicago.
Well, and that's the thing is eventually screenwriters are good at making stories out of reality and looking at like what are things. I mean, that happened with The Lone Gunman, which was like a crazy thing. The Lone Gunman was a spinoff of the X-Files, and their pilot episode that airs in March 2001 involves someone flying a plane into the Twin Towers. 9/11 happens 5 months later, and it's like, holy shit.
And the show is canceled immediately.
Yes.
And see, again, like, to me, predicting a coronavirus based off of SARS, originally from China, is not a stretch. In the same way that, like, what iconic American structure, you know what I mean? Most visibility, most damage, easiest to hit. People knew this for years. It was like, oh, that's the most logical. It's Occam's razor. What's it called?
Occam's razor. Yeah.
Occam's razor. Yeah.
I always live in doubt when I say that because I said Arkham's razor once after reading a Batman comic, and I'll never live it down.
It's Dwight Yoakam's razor. It's Yoakam's razor. You were so close, Nick.
Yoakam's razor. Does that
Arkham's razor is really good too, though.
You know what it is? Yoakam's razor is like, if you're wondering if it's country or not, it's country.
Yeah.
Like Orville Peck falls under Yoakam's razor. Like, you have to think about is or isn't it? It is. Yoakam's razor.
That's
so fucking great.
So perfect.
I would love to end the podcast right there, but
we're getting close to time. But I'd love to. Are there any like major ones we haven't? I know there's a gazillion things on here, and I want to talk. Blackish had a couple of really prescient episodes that happened with Black Lives Matter.
Well, I would say if you want to go like prescient within like a month, Watchmen. I mean, like a month away from the height of BLM civil unrest.
Did you watch that video I sent?
What video?
No, never mind.
Well, now we'll all be wondering.
Yeah, it's all about Watchmen.
Right. When did you send it to me?
No. So I
during the podcast?
Yeah, no, not during the podcast.
4 minutes ago. You've not watched it yet?
So like a week ago, I sent you a video, but it's no big deal. Anyways, I actually came to a conclusion a little bit. I didn't finish Watchmen. I got through 6 episodes, and I felt very weird about it. And then I actually watched a video online, and I realized why I felt weird about it. And you can watch it and see it. I felt like it was actually the show was misappropriating some racial relations stuff, which made me feel weird, really weird. But you can watch the thing. Yeah. I feel like the show is actually, it's misplaced.
Okay. Well, that took a turn.
Interesting. Yeah. So
I wish we had a black person here to be able to talk.
Yeah, no. I actually want to talk about it in depth with somebody.
Well, let's put a pin on that for right now, and we'll come back to that one.
It's definitely interesting for sure, and lot to delve into.
Well, that was something that I'm a big fan. I've been watching Blackish for a few years, and I really dig kind of just the general.
I like Blackish a lot.
It's it is very much like
one of our classmates just wrote an episode of Blackish.
Yeah, I mean and listen, it is a lot of like teaching white people shit, and I appreciate that. I mean, Juneteenth was something that I first heard about on that show in 2016. They did a whole musical episode on it, and Juneteenth then wound up being like blowing up as far as like pop culture awareness and acceptance of that.
I feel like the only reason I knew that is that's my mom's birthday, but I probably would not have known if I wasn't like looking up
Yeah, I mean Black Wall Street I didn't really know about until Watchmen.
Watchmen, and then a month later that was just everywhere in the news, and no one had heard of it.
And there's an episode I highly recommend of Blackish called Hope, and I think that was in 2016, like the second season. But essentially, it's a as Abed would say, it's a bottle episode that takes place just in their living room, but they're watching TV, awaiting the trial results of a cop that's killed an unarmed black man, and basically it's an education for the kids because the kids are like, we don't know what. Like, why are we so invested in this? What is this big deal? And it's like this education of how that's happening and that systemic racism and everything. And that was, I mean, that's 4 years before George Floyd, which doesn't mean at all that was the first time that this has happened. We've been dealing with this for
Family Matters had a
long
pretty good
time.
episode about that too.
Family Matters and Fresh Prince. I mean, we've been these lessons they've been trying to give these lessons to us, and it is very difficult to look back and be like, yeah, we weren't prepared, or we didn't know. Like, we knew, it's been happening. But those are some really interesting ones. I think that I think Blackish was really interesting because it was like those conversations were being put out there before it was being like I don't want to say it's popular to be having those conversations now, but before those conversations were being forced to happen, which they should be. And I think it's really interesting to look at a show like that used that platform early on to do that when that show wasn't anything. It hadn't been on for 5. It didn't have, tenure tenure doesn't exist, but you know what I mean? But yeah, it's kind of interesting. And that was kind of the only one I had really kind of sitting out on my list. Ben, you mentioned Brazil earlier, which is essentially Terry Gilliam doing 1984. Same with Enemy of the State. That's government surveillance. That's also a typical thing. The government's watching everything we do.
You could throw a terrible movie like The Net in there, which is also just like, you're like the idea, I think back in 1995 that somebody could have all the access to all of your information seemed so totally ludicrous. And it's completely just accepted fact now, which I'm like, that's a terrible movie, but at least it was kind of predicated on some sort of basis of, we could see this happening in the future. So
yeah, the idea of digital identity theft was of
course.
How are they going to get all my information on the computer? They don't have my social security card.
Yeah, they don't have any of my stuff.
And she orders a pizza online in that, that's their famous thing. It's the first time there was food order on the internets.
And now we have Domino's pizza tracker. So, all is right in the world.
Did you say all is white in the world?
All is.
I thought that's literally what you said.
I said all is right in the world when you can track your pizza.
It's a pretty white thing to do. Track your pizza.
I think everyone likes to track their pizza, Nick. I'm sorry. I think that's a great unifier. I think everybody likes to track their pizza. Do you guys have anything else you want to get to before we call it on this one? We may have to do a part 2 on this.
Have you heard of Bob Roberts?
I have heard it with Tim Robbins.
Yeah, the cast is insane. Jack Black and Ray Wise and Giancarlo Esposito and Brian Murray and Gore Vidal. I'm not going to tell you that I've seen this movie, but I did watch the 2-minute trailer, and the cover is Tim Robbins naked, wrapped in an American flag with an acoustic guitar leaning up against the wall.
He's a country singer,
conservative country singer that rises the ranks and steps on some necks to get there. And then on top of that, what I love to talk about is election in terms of political climate. I think between that and election, and even in the ways you don't think, the popularity contest, cult of personality guy wins technically, or they think that he wins, comes close, but in the end, it was talking about the rise of women in politics too, I think, and that was not prevalent.
And someone cheating because they think they're right.
Yeah, for Tracy Flick to win and then become, I don't know. I think that you give it a little credit too, but that's all I got.
If only we had more time to talk about election.
If only, man.
I will say that the only one we didn't get to that I was really, because it's a movie we do not discuss enough on this podcast, is 1996's Barb Wire, starring Pamela Anderson, that predicted a civil war in 2017. That America was divided enough that we would enter another civil war. So thank you, Pamela, for trying to warn us 21 years in the past. We just weren't ready to listen to you, but we're ready now. So give us a call, Pamela. We'd like to talk to you on the New Way podcast and find out why you decided to make that movie and what it was all about. That'll end the podcast for us today because you can't follow up Barbed Wire.
Right? Her name was Barb, right?
Her name was Barb, and
Wait, was her legal name Barbara Wire?
She was a live wire.
Barbara
I'm just saying, was it her
Wire.
moniker? Was it like her superhero name?
I think her
Barbara
comic name was Barbed Wire, but her name was Barb, and they just added we'll call her Barbed Wire because that's
I didn't want to sign off the podcast.
Like when we call Ben Big Ben, it's not because he's big. It's because it's just his name is Ben, so we call him Big Ben.
I don't call him that.
I mean, have you seen his? Anyway, thank you so much for listening to the New Way podcast. We're coming at you with new episodes pretty close to weekly now, or not.
Couldn't help
We'll find out. And we're coming to you on Wednesdays now, so tune in for another episode next week. We'll talk to you then, and let's have Nick lead it off. Oh, well, cheers. That was terrible. Let's try that. 1, 2, 3.
Cheers.
Want to do it again? You want to do the second time?
How about a third time where we all do it together?
Okay.
1, 2.
No, we did it too many times.
What?
I'm over it.
Oh, good
right,
for
thanks.
you.
All right, and
I'm tired. I'm going to go. Forget it.
Good night.